Hey, what's up? In this video, we're going to discuss how I am the creator. So you might be saying, wait, what do you mean you're the creator? Like, what does that even mean? What does that even mean, you're the creator? So I'm actually being a little clickbaity. I'm not saying that I'm God. I'm saying something related to spiral dynamics. That your nature is actually not what you see in the mirror. Your nature is everything, right? So in stage turquoise, you make this discovery. This is what happens. You realize that you are not one thing. And then in stage coral, you realize the application for that entails fluctuations of energy, different moods, different opinions, a multidimensional nature that gets applied. And so how does this truth of I am the creator manifest in stage teal and aubergine? So stage teal is about harmonization of people's opinions. So what's going to happen is you're going to realize that other people's opinions can be your own. Or they are your own. Or they can be worked with. They could be corrected. They could be refined. Or they could stay the same. And all you have to do is put your mental effort into just seeing the truth. Because stage teal understands that the moment you think something is true, it's already on its way to being true. Because you're the creator. The information gets applied. Coral, this is also true. They also believe that you're the creator in the sense that this will happen. That you just have to give your opinion and it'll kind of work out for you. That's why they don't really care so much about other people's wisdom. It's like everything you need is right in front of you. And then in teal, they'll want to help people with that knowledge. They'll want to do what yellow did times 100, 1,000. And then aubergine becomes hyped up again. They want to start a cult. But not in the classic sense. They want to start a cult of like-minded people who will usher the age of psychics, who will reveal the truth of our own energies, of our own non-existence, of our own multi-dimensional makeup. How does multi-dimensional realities work? So every single moment you're hearing voices. So someone in a high stage will feel like you're like a robot, a recording device, and you're just repeating everything you're being told. That is that is not so far from the truth in the sense that your subconscious is made up of voices and you're choosing which voices you agree with. Now, if you meditate, like I hear a voice that says you're doing fine. I hear a voice that says keep going. You hear all kinds of voices, but you have to meditate on it. You have to tap into it. And you have to choose which voices you want to hear. But in a higher stage, like aubergine, then the voices come to you. Then the voices are tangible. And that's where the era of what people might call mental illness. So you think that coral's bad. Aubergine literally is a different human being. So how can you tell the difference between an aubergine and someone who's mentally ill? And that's going to be the challenge. And that's going to be why, that's partly why aubergine is going to be so interested in starting cults. And they're going to be not cults per se, they're going to start enterprises. They're going to want systems that are going to usher in this new age of being. So someone might say, wait a minute, you said you're the creator. Why are you creating mentally ill people? So first off, who says they're mentally ill? You're putting labels, and you're labeling it that. And second, there's a concept called CY that I created, creating yourself and creating your reality, convincing yourself by creating your reality. So this entails that you have to have a methodical process in order to convince yourself something is true, or else it doesn't create as much harmony. And people in lower stages, they were applying this without realizing it back in the day when they wrote profound wisdom. So even though they knew a lot of spiritual concepts, they couldn't put into words, and so they had divine assistance. That energy of assistance was a higher stage. But nowadays we're entering into an era where we become the higher stage. Instead of having an energy of harmony, we become the harmony. So you see here is that the stage teal is all about harmonizing. Now in the next stage, it's going to be unavoidable to experience the spiritual reality, in the sense that the voices will come to you instead of you having to tap into the voices. Now, just to finish up why you have to apply CY, is because it has to come to you and you have to like it. You liking the story is an integral part to truth. Okay, we got that out of the way. And that could be discussed. If anyone's interested, please comment. People don't generally comment on my concepts and principles for a couple reasons. One is because it's complicated. It's not easily understood. The other reason is because if they agreed with it, they'd have to forfeit their materialistic paradigm and their own assumptions on reality. And they may not want to do that. So they'll wait until it becomes readily understood so they can ease into it comfortably. So, yeah, it's just human nature. It's an advanced way of understanding human beings. If you can't understand that, it's understandable too. And so stage teal is excellent at harmony. But something they didn't succeed in is realizing that they have their own internal demons. So we spoke about how as you advance, lower stages go to the wayside. But you always have a shadow, you always have an ego that wants something. So it's that ego that is anger, rage, jealousy, hatred. It includes that. I'm not saying it is that, it includes that. So when you advance to a high enough stage, you start forgetting about those emotions. Like, you feel that you're superior. You're beyond all that. But no, you still have it in you. It's just not as tapped into. And so in stage teal, you've forgotten about your own anger. And so, yes, you're an enlightened being in teal. But you start to deal with the rage and the anger in the next stage, in stage Aubergine. Sage Aubergine says, we forgot about this anger we have. We forgot that there's so much to do in this world. There's so many people to advance. There's so many systems to be created such that we can finally get this society running. Turn them into psychic beings instead of letting them stay in their little green bubbles. They think Stage green, they believe in death. There is no death. Once I die, I'm going to enter into your bodies. That's the kind of belief systems that develop in stage Aubergine. It's like, death, who's dying? It's not just turquoise, it's like applied times a million. You know? So all that rage kind of gets channeled into that mentality. So that's how the survival gets experienced. It's we got to get moving, we got to advance consciousness, and we got to create enterprise. So you're basically gonna have like a whole stage orange again, but for the sake of psychic abilities, for the sake of moving mankind along in their psychological evolution, or even psychic evolution, which is understood as reality. So I said before that they're going to be forced into this mental illness. No. It's not that they're forced into mental illness. It's they're forced into the epiphany that the reason why they're angry is because they haven't dealt with those voices. They're going to deal with it. And you might say in the old days, they said, oh, that's just you're possessed by a demon. Deal with your voices and the voices will go away. It isn't so simple. Those voices are always going on. They've always been going on. And that's the reason for your depression. In Sage Aubergine, they kind of realize that the voices are actually everyone on planet Earth's egos and preferences and distastes. And somehow you're interconnected with that egoic framework or landscape, and therefore it affects you internally and subconsciously. It's the foundation of all your baggage. Yes, you have your own baggage, but it's underneath the reason why you have that baggage. It's the source of the baggage is from a collective phenomenon and not just myopic familial annoyances. So, Sage Aubergine is going to be forced into this, and I both realized this and found this to be an amazing truth, that I was willing to be open-minded to it. See why, right? And therefore, that's the stage. It entails that you will probably not be able to communicate or relate to lower stages anymore. Not just relate, you won't know how to communicate with them. And these people will want to coalesce into a system. Because in teal, they didn't have the capacity, at least right now, because there's too few teals. And in coral, they were too confused. They were too disheveled in terms of how they're going to go about things. But in Aubergine, you would not only have you adjusted, you've come to the next phase of post-adjustment. We got to do something with the discoveries, the evolutions that are going to take place probably forever in human existence. And the big question is, how can you tell the difference between someone who's an Aubergine and someone who's mentally ill? I mentioned this in the main, my main understanding is that an Aubergine will be tempted to talk to themselves, but they'll want collaboration. So collaboration, meaning the voices that you heard in turquoise, coral, and teal are now tangible. Because there's a voice in your heart that says, you should be doing this. Go watch ASMR videos. Relax. Go finish The Boys, which I'm watching now. Tell your mom to stop walking around the hallway. It's annoying you. Like all these different opinions within your heart. And you have an opinion that says, no, don't worry about her. I'm taking care of that. I want to distract the other side. You know, like all these voices are in my heart and I can hear them if I paid attention. But once you're in Aubergine, then you have to meditate. Then you don't have to meditate anymore. Then you don't have to tap into it. It's like, oh, hey guys. And that's the problem, because lower stages can no longer relate to that reality. So I'm not in the stage of Aubergine, but eventually I'm going to be forced into it once enough people become it. For 2 to 3 reasons at least. Um, but until then, I'm comfortably uncomfortable in stage coral and teal. So the mentally ill person is actually someone who may be tapping into the Aubergine reality, but it's disheveled. So if it, yeah. So I mean, so far my best way to sift through the Aubergines versus the mentally ill is to ask them if they know about spiral dynamics, and they've been following along for at least a year and a half on their journey. And if they say that they've come to a point where they feel that they're on Aubergine, and that during that time they also felt that they started to tap into psychic phenomenon, that's how you know. The problem with trying to ascertain, like through a sign, like tell me the future or something like that, is because not all of these voices are true. Not all of them are correct, and not all of them are solidifying the realities that you want. Because what goes on in the formation of reality is different voices saying this is true, that's true, that's true, and all of a sudden you say to yourself, no, this is true. You pick one opinion, and all of a sudden that increases the likelihood that that opinion is actually true. So it's very complicated in terms of how reality takes place, how reality shapes itself. And you have diversity and multiplicity and vibrancy within that complexity as well. Like just by agreeing with that understanding, you're catering to that CY, that truth itself in your own mind. And it's a domino effect of truth being created and you seeing more substantiation of that truth. So eventually I'll reach stage Aubergine, and I'm in no rush because it's probably a very lonely world until you reach stage clear, at which point it's that the loneliness probably goes away. Probably. Yeah, because loneliness is like a very male thing. It's like I need someone. I want someone now. Let's do this now. Feminine is patient enough where they're successful in getting a community rolling because of that patience. But the masculine is like, we gotta rush this. But by so doing, they scare a lot of people. They rush it. They don't think things through enough. I mean, that's the general. That's a general fault that's going to come about in any masculine stage. Itchy nose. So. That's it. You are the creator entails. How many minutes? 15? That you're creating everything you see through your understanding and through your words. And that by advancing, you realize more coherently that you are the creator. And once you get into stage Aubergine, you kind of release, you become very rational again. I'm not the creator. I'm just one of many, many, many creators, and we got to collaborate to get this ball rolling so people understand this. Because they're forced into applying that knowledge. In stage teal, you had the luxury to methodically go about things because you channel energy, you tap into energy, you meditate on energy, you ascertain truth. But in Aubergine, the truth is jumping at you. And the truth says, the truth is your anger, the truth is your fear, the truth is your anxiety. It comes out in voices, and you got to do this. So I used to think that the Aubergine is chasing voices, chasing truth, because it's impatient. Now I'm seeing that no, they're impatient because they're living the psychic reality, and they don't know how to deal with that. And so someone who wants to dismiss psychic phenomenon within the primary experience of stage Aubergine, I don't know how. I feel it's a fundamental phase, fundamental trait within the phase is a tapping into psychic awareness. It comes from within their body, which is interconnected with the external world and fluctuates and it's subconscious and it's connected to the collective subconscious. That kind of world, you're forced into it because you start hearing it. And I don't think you can hear it until you pass stage heal. And I think that sometimes people who hear it prematurely through psychedelics or through kind of psychosis-inducing states, that is when it gets hard to manage the partial activation of Aubergine. So the way to ascertain that it's legit Aubergine is if they're rational to some extent, they're methodical, they know about spiral dynamics, and they're careful. They're careful. And they're careful with the process. Meaning, I said in a previous video that they'll be willing to go to jail to prove the truth. That was over exaggeration. They're not willing to go to jail per se. It's actually the opposite. They're so methodical that they'll be smart and not do what will get them thrown in jail. But an unhealthy version might, and the overhyped version might be tempted to go down that route. But it's not really innate. It's actually the opposite. You'll want to be careful about method in advancing consciousness. But you're so hyped up that one of the flaws might be that you'll just be very trusting towards everyone. We got to get everyone in this group. Everyone join my feed. Everyone join my group. And then safeguards won't be applied. Safeguards won't be considered as much because this flaw is a strong possibility. Doesn't mean they're willing to go to jail. It just means that they might miss a few factors of possibility as a result of wanting to rush the process. So this whole video was, you're the creator, but it was actually clickbait to get you to realize that you have the potential to see that you're not the creator in stage Aubergine. But you're not the creator, not because you're not the creator, it's just you live a different reality where the rational mind becomes that experience. Eventually we're going to subside and go out of the language of you are the creator. We're going to see that that's the language of stage turquoise and possibly coral. But you're going to realize that this language was not necessarily something you wanted. Like in stage teal, you're actually going to realize that you're not the creator because everyone's opinions are what's creating it, and you're just helping them create reality. So you're kind of one with everyone, and then everyone's kind of null with each other, so there is no creator. So in a sense, teal is like atheists. And then, ironically, you would think orange is going to be, you could think the next stage is going to be atheist, but he's not atheist. He just, it's like an advanced form of what teal was getting set up for, where there is no creator because everyone's opinions are null and void. But then Aubergine says, no, everyone's opinions are one. So it becomes the creator again, but in a way that's not recognizable. It still kind of has the atheistic tone of teal, but not, and closer to some kind of new age in respect to turquoise version of you are the creator, but not really. So we're gonna keep evolving in terms of what that entails. Of you are the creator, I am the creator. And I am the creator is really lingo to attract people to stage turquoise and to attract stage turquoise into hearing more about this. But this video is clickbait to get turquoise primarily into coral and above, and potentially even Aubergine someday.